Welcome to Under the Lights podcast with Ash and Roy. They bring you straight into the stories of the Western world's toughest and most talented, legendary horsemen, elite rodeo athletes, and powerhouse musicians. No fluff, no filters, just real conversation about the grit, the setbacks, and the breakthroughs that build these icons. Ash and Roy take you behind the scenes, under the lights, to hear what it really took to get there. If you live the Western lifestyle or just respect the grind, this one's for you. Kick back, crack a cold one, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Under the Lights with Ash and Roy. I'm Ashley Tetrick. I'm here with my host, Roy Dinges. How are you, Roy?
I'm good. I'm ready for this episode.
Yes, you are. Listen, but first we got to talk about that gorgeous day behind you. I'm a little jealous.
I mean, Texas is where it's at. I mean, how can you beat this?
I can't beat it. I can't even dream about doing something like that in the Northeast this week. But pretty soon, we'll be there right there with you. We got a special guest today.
We do, and he's actually a really good friend of mine, and a lot of people know him as the man in the pink shirt, right? And we'll get to that in this episode. But 2016 world champion calf roper. And Ashley, you've met him, and this is just going to be a good conversation with a good man.
I have had the privilege to meet Tyson. It was under the most extreme, horrific circumstances of a Texas ice storm. And let me tell you, that is the true test of a gentleman, because he took us in and was just great anyway. But yes, Roy's right. We're so excited to have Tyson Durfey with us. Tyson is a world champion tie-down roper, entrepreneur, one of the rodeo's most driven competitors I think anybody knows. Hailing from Savannah, Missouri, Tyson turned a lifetime of hard work into grit and discipline. He is crowned 2016 PRCA tie-down roping world title. He won the American Rodeo. His accolades are deep, and we are so excited for him to join us. So let's all bring him in. Hey, Tyson, how are you?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I like the name of this, Under the Lights. There you go, baby. Like you're in a rodeo arena. This is good. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Tyson is in his office, and well, actually, you've seen that. That is just memorabilia, and of course, Americana behind him. And when you go to Tyson's place, you got to see that room.
Yeah, the office is not, it's not huge. It's very small, but it is American. It is rodeo, and it is cowboy. It's, I have my American flag back there. Got a bunch of memorabilia from rodeos, plus books. I'm pretty much self-taught in everything. So I have, I'm not listening to a book. I'm trying to read a book and get better and grow. I don't love to read, but I do know that knowledge is the key to everything. So yeah, it's kind of a lot of rodeo memorabilia in here. I'll kind of, pardon the mess, but I'll just give you all a quick tour here. Let me roll back here. And I have all my back numbers all over the wall, tons of books, horseshoes. Those two sets of horseshoes are from that horse up there that I won my world championship on. I unfortunately lost him not long after I won the world championship. And, but I kept his shoes, and he was a great horse. He was in the prime of his career. He was young. But yeah, we got some stuff up there, more back numbers, caps. My kids leave me messages on the door, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, we got the Patriot, the flag in there. I've got the Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, of course, my pink stuff. That photo directly above here in the middle is of Billy Graham and his whole evangelist team. And they were in Washington, D.C., kneeling outside the White House praying over our nation. And I was like, I told my wife, I just took a screenshot of it because I was watching it on YouTube. And I was like, man, this is just such a great moment of what, America should be praying over your leaders, praying over your country.
Yeah.
And, and she actually took that and cleaned it up somehow and then blew it up and threw it on my wall for me as a present. So it's one of my favorite things in here, it's not a big space. This is actually a wash rack at one point in our indoor arena. that I turned into an office. So yeah, it's cowboy, that's for sure.
Spoken like a true horseman.
Yeah.
The gelding that you unfortunately lost, was that Nico?
That was Nico. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think we're all just one good horse away from having our dreams. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I tell people that all the time. They're like, I'm having a hard time finding the right horse or doing this or doing that. I say, just stay in the game, because one good horse can change your whole outlook on everything. And if you're a great cowboy, you get one or two, in the rodeo industry, one or two. And so that was my boy. I love him like I love family. Yeah. He's good horse.
Those are tough losses. I think most horsemen have been in those shoes, and you don't wish that on anybody. Tyson, talk us a little bit about the trail from hometown Missouri down to Texas area, and what brought you into that rodeo scene so highly competitive.
Yeah, so my dad was a trainer. He would train a lot of the young athletes in the Midwest. He would train almost all the horses at the time back in the day. My dad was like the only, guy riding 20, 25, 30 head a day. There were some guys that trained just kind of on the side. Maybe they were, an electrician or a plumber or whatever, and then they rode a couple horses here and there. My dad was a full-time guy, and so we just got up every morning and we rode a lot of horses, worked a lot of horses. And it was from, 6:30 in the morning till 11:30, 12 o'clock every night. It was me, my dad, and my two brothers. We were all on the ranch and some hired men, so there were no women. There was, lots of drinking going on, lots of dirty jokes, definitely not the Christian lifestyle that I live now. But I learned at a very young age that, like, if I wanted to be a winner, that I had to put in more effort than anybody else. And I went to my dad one time. I was about 14, and I said, "Dad," he asked me, he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I want to be the guys on TV. I don't want to be just behind the scenes. I want to be the guys on TV. I want to travel. I want to go all over the world and all over America, and I want to be the guy on TV." And he said, "Well, son, you need to see me, show me that you're putting in more work than you're putting in." I'm thinking, like, I'm already starting the day at 6 a.m. and finishing, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And basically he slapped me in the face and said, "Well, that's not good enough. You need to do more." He said, "What you need to do," he said, "I see you working, but I want to see you working on the things that move the needle." And so I started to prioritize the type of work I was doing, from just cleaning stalls, feeding horses, doctoring cattle, doing all that. But then I was like, how much time am I actually practicing on my swinging, my delivery of my rope, my running down the rope and tying and flanking, my exercising? And I wasn't. I was essentially, a mindless robot doing the physical labor every day, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it didn't align with my goals. My goals were to be the best in the world and a top ranked and be on TV and all this stuff. And so that's when I was about 14 years old. I started to make that shift of, okay, we need to prioritize our work. I started waking up even earlier, which is crazy because most of my high school career, I started at like 4:30 a.m. I would finish the day around 11:30 a.m. So I didn't sleep a lot growing up. Like, I just worked. There was no prom. I never went to a football game. I didn't do a basketball game. I didn't go to like school dances. I can probably count the amount of times on one hand that I hung out with like friends and didn't work. So there was none of that. And I'm so thankful that it was like that for me.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was sad, not going to be lying. Like, I remember going to like, most of the rodeo kids didn't go to normal prom because you were at a high school rodeo. But we did have like other proms and like other things. And I didn't go to any of my high school proms or anything. And I was just like, man, I kind of wish I would have, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, I got to hang out with the president. I got to meet celebrities and do things that only happened to me. And I'm just a dumb Irish kid from the Midwest, right? That my life would not look like that if I wasn't good at roping.
Yeah.
So I basically gave up a lot of youth things to be excellent at a skill that allowed me to live a life that, is just incredible. It's so much fun. I mean, competing at Houston in front of tens and thousands of people and taking my kids, now that I'm an old man, still winning. I am still winning against kids that are young enough to be my kids. But taking them to, meet Riley Green or hang out with Ella Langley or get to watch these performers on the dirt or from the back of the bucket chutes. Like, it's just incredible memories. And none of that would have happened if I would have been more concerned with hanging out with my friends than actually developing my craft and wanting to get out of the ranch and be a national rodeo cowboy.
Yeah. So speaking of winning, you just won the first bracket at Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool because Weatherford, where we are, it's gotten to be like Stephenville's the cowboy capital of the world. Well, I think we're seeing a shift to Weatherford with, and then of course we got Tyson. It's so cool to sit around at our little local spots.
Yeah.
Because every place in Texas shows the Cowboy Channel, every restaurant. And it's so cool when Weatherford guy comes up or a Brock guy, everyone's cheering and watching Tyson win Houston. You finally got your guitar.
Yeah, when I've won that Super Series set probably 5 or 6 times over the years. I've always loved Houston. It's my favorite rodeo. It's where I met my wife. It just got so many great memories from Houston, and I just love it. And I just, there's some of those arenas you just ride into and you're like, yes, this is what I worked my whole life for. And Houston's that rodeo, the Americans that rodeo, the national final. Like, I just love like the big venues, the high stakes. And when I retired, they started giving away guitars. And anybody knows that rodeos or retires from doing like something like athletics for a long period of time, the moment you retire, the next year that somebody wins something, it's going to be way cooler.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now they're giving this and they never gave that when I was doing it, but I did get to come out of retirement after basically 3 years off. And I won a guitar the other day, which is super cool. I don't know how to play it, but it is sitting in the house on the wall right now. So it's pretty cool.
That's a heck of a trophy. I don't think, we've got a lot of trophies around here. I do not have any guitars, so I'm going to start making some phone calls and some better marketing and
so my favorite thing that I've ever won, like under, let's say, like, belt buckle to like guitar level price point. I won a gun one time. I was like, oh man, this is like super cool. Love the guns, win guns, won a guitar, won belt buckles. The thing that gets used the most that I've won is not a saddle. It is and I'm not sponsored by it, but a DeWalt drill set. I won it at Caldwell, and Roy knows me. Like, we know each other deeply. I freaking work. I don't jack around. I'm always hustling. And I actually built a house right by Roy's house with that DeWalt set. So I'm all about unique gifts and useful. So yeah, I won't be able to use the guitar, but maybe I can talk my wife into using it.
I thought you were going to say is it a Polaris or the Can-Am? Polaris?
I won a Polaris at the American. That's probably my all-time favorite one, but that's like price point, like, it was some $1,000, So that was cool.
We were talking about Nico a little bit earlier. One of the biggest things that legendary horsemen just seem to always have an eye for a great horse. Let's talk about a little bit about horsepower in the calf roping and what it really takes to elevate you.
Well, I feel like, so if you were to break calf roping down into like a pyrograph, right? You got 50.
Yeah, talk to us harness racing people. We want the pyrograph.
Yeah, it's like 50 to 60% horse, right? Yeah. You may be the best roper in the world, but if you don't have a right mount, you're probably not going to win very much, not on a consistent level. So for me, I figure like 50 to 60% is the horse, and then let's say a portion of that is horsemanship. So you can take a guy like me that grew up training horses, been on thousands. I've been on thousands of head of horses in my life. You kind of develop a feel for what winners are. Now, my dad, who's been in hundreds of thousands, far better horseman than I am, he could take a dink and make them look pretty damn good. Like, that's just, that's just old Midwest talk there. I mean, he could take a horse that was not very nice and he could develop, but my knack has always been picking the winners. So I'm like, what is the winner? And so when I say I rode, hundreds and thousands of horses, it's like at competitions, not just in the training arena. And so I was able to, say, all right, this horse is consistent. This horse works great, but he can't handle the pressure. When the noise gets up and the crowd comes up, he makes an erratic move. And I don't want any erratic behavior. I want consistent behavior. And so I think it's just the feel of riding that many horses and that's kind of an art that's lost. There's not many people in the calf roping space. I can probably only think of one other than maybe myself, and it's Haven Medjed, that has rode a lot of horses and trained a lot of horses.
Yeah.
That probably had that real feel for how a horse works. And it's a huge, testament to him or me. But at the end of the day, it's horsepower, it's mechanics. I would say mechanics, being able to operate and win under pressure is probably 25% of the math. Let's say horse 60, that's when at least 15%. The rest is mindset and athleticism. And I put athleticism very low on the totem pole. The worse horse you have, the better athlete you have to be. The greater horse that you have, the less of an athlete you have to be. And that's why, I'm ancient. I'm 42 years old. I am freaking ancient compared to a Riley Webb that's 19. I'm literally right? How do I still win? It's because I ride excellent horses. And if I don't have an excellent horse, I'm just an average guy. So understanding like how to pick the right horse and how to keep that horse working over a multi-year period. Ropers don't transition horses every week. We find a great horse and it can last 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10 years. So it's really understand the horsepower, being great mechanically, having a good mind, and athleticism. I think it is important, but it's not the most important by far.
Gotcha. Could you talk about the current roster you've got in the barn right now? You're roping off.
I got 2 mares. They're freaking excellent. One is a bay mare. They were both first-year pro horses last year, so I would consider them green. They weren't used to fireworks, and they weren't used to huge crowds in the stands, when people are pounding on the stands with their feet. So I had last year, I was kind of bringing them along a little bit, but they nearly got me to the NFR last year as green horses. And so I'm super excited this year that they're both fresh and they're finished. They're fresh and finished at this point. They're not scared of everything. Like, go to Houston, they're going to work. They're going to work at Cheyenne. Last year I was able to win Cheyenne on my bay mare. Her name is Baby Ray. She is 10 years old this year. She came through the ranks of high school and college, and then I picked her up. And then Fancy, my dun mare that I rode the other day at Houston. Well, Corey Solomon rode my bay mare, and then I rode my dun mare. So both of them got outs at Houston, which is great. But Fancy was trained by a guy that trained under my dad. So it's really cool that because the way his training style is very similar to my father's training style. So it's almost like he's kind of
home.
Yeah. And the horses I've bought from him, I've bought several over the years. They flow right into me very well because I understand that training style. But they're 2 great horses. Fancy's 8 this year. Baby Ray is 10. They're great horses. They're consistent horses. And they're mares, so they're either pissed off or they're very willing to do their job amazingly. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
But they're awesome.
I love a gritty mare.
I love a gritty mare. Me too. You know why I like a gritty mare? Because a gelding or a stud is like a man. You can whack them upside the head and they forget. We're as a species, the male species. I want to say stupid, but we take a little bit more like. Get a hold of you to get it through your head. With the mare, I just have to show my mares. I don't have to do nothing to. I show them and I treat them right and they work every time. I was always a gelding guy my whole life until the last few years. I've turned into a mare guy and I love mares. I love them. They're
So you're going to add marriage counselor to your long list of all the incredible advice that you give.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I love my mares at this point. They're great for my stage of life. When I was 20, I didn't have the patience I do now. But at this stage of life, my mares are awesome. I just love them. They're the only way I roll if I can, if I have the choice.
Yeah. So speaking of all that, we covered everything there: Cheyenne, retirement, and
Mm,
mares. So take us back before you retired. You had a good mare, and you sold that mare
I did.
because
Yeah.
you were retiring,
Yep.
and then were retired a couple of years, and then take us through that, and then when you came back,
Yeah.
won Cheyenne.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird deal because I was about 37, 38, something like that. I'm way older than that now. So I won't tell you my age, but I was just kind of burnt out, man. I've been doing it since I was 4 years old,
Yeah.
35 yeyears, just the same thing, the same rodeos every year, been successful, won the world, achieved every goal I ever wanted to achieve. I just hit this spot where I was just done, man. I I was just done. And there was a COVID year where I was home a lot and I'd never been home. I'd always my whole life been on the road and never been home. And I was building a brand new house and I built my home and I just really enjoyed like building my home and I enjoyed doing construction and I enjoyed being in my same bed every night, which is something I'd never done. I never even knew I liked it because I just my entire life I was on the road. And I was like, I'm going to go hard this year through COVID. And there was like only a few states that were open. There was South Dakota, Oklahoma, Kansas, portions of Texas, Idaho, a little bit in Utah. So every competition, the best in the world was at it. Instead of, 5,000 rodeos across America, there were only in a few states. So each rodeo, even if it was a podunk rodeo, like at $1,000 or something, they would get the best 200 ropers on planet Earth. It was tough. And I went in, I ended up making the national finals. I went the last week of the season. I was 23rd in the world and I won every round of the tour finale and won the finals and going from 23rd to 12th and making the national finals and then coming here to Texas for the national finals. And we got done. I wrote my last calf and I remember thinking this might be the last calf I ever wrote, is
Wow.
is over here. And I just thought I'd done everything I wanted to do. I wasn't like depressed or anything, but I wanted to be home with my family, 2 little kids in diapers, the whole thing. Those of you that, are up in age, not up in age, but not in your 20s, because I couldn't have thought about this in my 20s. But if you're in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you understand what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
nice to be around your kids when they're little because someday they're going to grow up. And I did. I was retired. I was dad. I sold my good horse. Shane Hanchy ended up with her, rode her at the NFR. It was super fun to watch him compete on her, but I got like literally depressed because I was used to competing all the time.
Yeah.
How I would stuff down, I would say depression or anger or whatever was like I literally just put a tool belt on and went to work. Like literally.
It was an outlet.
Like hanging out with President Trump at these places to like tool belt framing a house. Like, and Roy knows I'm not joking because I ain't joking, am I, Roy?
No,
like,
you're not.
Framing, siding, roofing. I mean, I was just a working man. And I think that I was and I really enjoy creating. I love building things and creating things. And financially, I didn't need to do that. Like I did this because I wanted to do this. I didn't do this because I had to do this. And but I love creating things. So I built this house. I started trading land and doing more of that stuff. I have a place that Roy knows that I've been developing and clearing timber and I just went to work. But after a while, working is so boring if you're used to nodding your head and competing and doing all that stuff.
The adrenaline. You miss that adrenaline.
No adrenaline. There's, how I found my adrenaline was I go roll in jujitsu and and I don't know anything. So these guys just beat the crap out of me. That's how I was like getting my kicks. Like these guys are popping my ribs and choking me out. But I was just working and I had a minor heart attack. And I'm like, I can't, like, what's going on? So I was carrying a water pump up from the river. I was irrigating for some cattle and I was carrying a water pump up. I get halfway up and I couldn't breathe. I had chest pain, everything starts spinning. And I just crawled my way to the truck and laid the seat back and I sat down for like 20 minutes. And here I am. The only way I can, get rid of like I wouldn't know if it might have been depression. I don't know. Let's just call it that. I don't care if we call it that. Was to work hard. That's why I stuffed it down. And then I start getting sick and I can't even do that. Like, and I'm trying to figure out what's happening to me. And I have one, and then it happens again and again and again and again and again. It happened 6 times before I went to the doctor. And my body's breaking out in full body rashes from my neck to my ankle. I'd have these pounding, massive headaches that lasted all day long. I just could not get away from them, had no energy. And the only way I could get away from them is go in my room and lay down in a dark room. And my wife's like, what is wrong with you? Because this is not the man that I married. The man I married is a goer. And all of a sudden I'm like, I can't get out of this dark room. I just want to sit in this dark room because I just can't take it.
Wow.
And I was going to the bathroom 12 times a day, and I couldn't keep any food in it. It was just running through me, and all this stuff was going on. Well, finally, long story short, we book a appointment with a cardiologist, and he's a good one. We pulled some strings. He works for some NBA teams, and we get in there, and he hooks me up the thing with all the wires, the EKG, and he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, well, he's like, do you have chest pain? I'm like, yeah, I got some chest pain. He's like, I'm not trying to freak you out. He said, but I think you're having a heart attack right now. And I'm like, freaking A. He's like, I need to get you in for a heart cath immediately to make sure there's no blockage. He's like, ever since, I'm not going to use the guy's name, but he's like, ever since COVID, your mind would be blown. The amount of 40-year-old guys that are physically in shape, not overweight, that are dropping dead from heart attacks. He's like, I would really like to get you into. And I'm like, how's this possible? I've always exercised. I've always worked physically. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't chew. Other than hard work, I don't have a lot of, bad health vices. And he's like, you needed it. So we do it. We go in there. And the funny thing was we get in there and I'm kind of like loopy because they put the thing on you. And he's trying to, they go in there or they go up from your groin. They cut you in your groin. They go up to your heart. And I kind of see the screen where they're like squirting dye all over the place. And we get done and I'm like in and out of consciousness. I'm there, but I'm like not like wide awake. It's almost like a fuzzy dream. And I wake up and he's like, did you go to war? I said, no. He's like, did you grow up, with a rough childhood? I said, yo, yeah, very rough. Yeah, very rough. He's like, because you have a piece of shrapnel on your heart. And I'm like, he said, what looks like a piece of shrapnel on your heart. And he's like, you also have one in your hip. And he's like, but the good news is you don't have any blockage. So I don't know why you're having these attacks. And I said, well, I tactically shoot. And sometimes if I like, whatever, get aggressive, I'll shoot plates and sometimes the bullet fragments will frag off and hit you. And I remember getting hit in the chest with a bullet fragment, but I didn't think anything of it. I just was like, it's not that big a deal, and just kind of kept going. So that was the chest one. I got one in the hip, but ironically, I ended up having and I know I'm rambling, but I ended up having I ended up having like a chronic viral infection. My red blood cells were like literally dying off. They were like zombie cells and they were dying and clubbing together. And my blood was so thick that my heart couldn't pump it through. Anytime my heart rate got up, I was doing something physical, my heart couldn't pump it through like my extremities and all over the stuff. And then I'd have these attacks where I get all weird. And then I just chill out, let my heart rate come back down, take some ibuprofen or aspirin or whatever it is. And it would go away. But it got to where at 155, it would happen every time. I could time it like clockwork. I watch my heart rate. When it gets to 155, boom, it would happen. Long story short, I called my best friend. I was like, man, I think I'm dying. Because this doctor was like, I don't know. I can't help you. And I was like, I think I'm dying, man. And he's like, did you call Dr. West? And I said, no, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know him. I said, well, I thought he was just a chiropractor. I don't know. Like, we have one of these. So I did these like business networking events and stuff like that. And I met him at this deal, but I assumed he was a chiropractor. I didn't know what he was. Well, he's like a autoimmune specialist. And I went to him, and 45 days later, I was like breathing fire again. I did 15 treatments with him. And they're very holistic. There are no chemo, radiation, none of that crap. And what I had would eventually turn into cancer. And he got it flushed out of my body. Now I can't eat like I used to eat. I don't eat perfect, but I don't drink sodas very often. Maybe one a week. You know, I'm not eating chocolate every day. I'm not eating cakes every day. I'm really trying to dial in and not eat tons and tons of bread. I will still have a piece of bread. I will still have pasta, but it's very, very mild. And the cool thing about this doctor was only guy I ever seen in history. Most of them want to pull your blood and run it through a blood panel, and they'll take their piece of paper and their clipboard and they'll read their report. This guy pricks your finger, you put it on a slide, and he looks at it on a microscope in front of you, with you there in the room, and it goes up to a big like screen TV, and he actually analyzes your cell in front of you while you're there, so you can actually see what's going on.
Wow.
I went up there, did 10 treatments, and then at the end of 10 treatments, they prick your finger again, and they run it, and you can see the cells. Like after 10 treatments with them, you look at your cells, and they're like healthy and normal, and all the zombie cells are gone, and you can actually see it, and then you can feel it. You start to feel better and do things. And so I go back about once a year for a checkup, but I remember laying on the operating table right before before they put the gas on me. I was like, if I have to go meet Jesus today, like, what's the number one or what's the things I wish I would have done? And like, number one is obviously more time with my wife and my kids. I love them to death. I mean, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I feel and really try to be a good father. Like I really, really work hard at that.
Yeah.
Number two was like, I wish I would have been, and I'm still working on this one, a better friend to people, where like I'd slow down just a little bit. I'm like, hey, how was your day? How are you doing?
Right.
You know, instead of just going, which I'm still a work in progress at that. And I'm trying to get better. And then three was, I wish I would have rodeoed longer. And when I got healthy, I flew from Dr. West Clinic in Pocatello, Idaho, to Nebraska and bought Fancy, the one I just won the rounds in Houston on. So like there was no grass growing underneath my feet. I called my wife. I said, hey, I'm not retired anymore. I'm going to come back and I'm a rodeo and I'm going to make the national finals again in my 40s. And I'm going to do this. She's like, honey, you don't have your health. You don't own a horse. You don't own
concerns.
I hadn't rode a horse in a year and a half. I didn't have a truck and a trailer. I didn't have a rig. And so she was like, because I mean, when you're rodeoing, it's everything just to get all those once. And once you sell out, you're done. Nobody makes comebacks in rodeo and does good. Like it's too hard. And so I really had to prioritize my practice, my horsemanship, my body, my health, my flexibility. Flexibility is mostly, people are like, what are you doing? I start with a sauna every day. After that, I run sprints on the treadmill. And then after that, I stretch. That's literally my entire workout. Because I need flexibility in my 40s. Most of y'all know, like old men are strong as hell. Like they'll shake your hand and put, the old men are like, far as like strength, they're so strong, but we lose our flexibility and our speed, our ability to use our legs. And so that's really what I have to work on at this. Other than that, it's just horsemanship and making sure my horses are dialed in. But that's kind of the whole thing that brought me back. And then to come back and win Cheyenne last year, it was amazing to me because it was an emotional roller coaster. I competed, I think, 23 times at Cheyenne, only made the short go one time. And I came back the last guy to win the championship and mess my run up to lose the championship the year that I retired. So I thought I was done. I thought I would never have another opportunity to win the daddy of them all. And then to come back after, a hiatus of several years and then win it again, it's like, wow, man, if you want to do something, and you feel like God's on your side and you're diligent and focused and you have effort, man, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. Anything is possible.
It's amazing. How are you feeling now since everything's gone?
Feel excellent. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I recently actually bought my own microscope and got my own set up. And hopefully next week I'll have it all set up in a room where I can test my own blood to visually see where I'm at, because we can do like the blood markers and the blood panels, which I still do with Dr. West. But I was like, hey, I want to do this by myself.
Right.
And if I can do it by myself, I can also test my horses. I can test my cattle. I can do all this stuff. And so, as a doctor, he can't say that I can do this or not do that. And he didn't give me permission or tell me to do it. I was just like, I want to do it for myself. Yeah. So I'm hoping next week I can actually start testing my own blood. But as far as like and visually, just visually testing my own blood.
Right, right.
But physically, I feel amazing. My energy levels are really high. And the only thing I don't have in my 40s is that all night drive, like driving, competing the next morning. So in rodeo, you'll compete at one rodeo, get out of there at like 11 p.m. And then 800 miles away, you'll have another rodeo at like 11 a.m. the next day. And you'll have to drive all night long, get in about an hour before you can compete, get ready to go. And I just can't do that anymore. I tried it last year and it's just too much. I can't do it. But other than that, I mean, I feel literally as good as I did in my 20s at this point.
Well, yeah, no, I would say because I think the first round in Houston, did you catch a stirrup or something? But you went down.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, if I did that, I'd still be laying there.
Well, you want to know something else? I went to Houston, but what you didn't see on the TV was I went to Tucson a couple days before. And Tucson, a long road, like it's 15 hours there, it's 15 hours back. At Tucson, you know, you're running like 25 to 35 miles an hour when you rope the calf. Like you're going wide open. I did the same thing 2 times in a row at Tucson. My hips were so out, like my one leg was like that much shorter than the other one. I landed on my shoulder and jacked my shoulder up. So I hit the ground out of 5 runs. I missed 2 calves. I missed 2 and hit the ground 3 times. And that's freaking rodeo for you. And because then I come back and I win Houston. So it's not about hitting the ground or losing or being sore. It's about how well you get your ass back up and keep moving forward. And that's really what Houston was for me. It was pretty cool because I just got off Tucson. I wiped out, got my butt kicked, felt old as hell. You know, when you hit the ground, you get up a little slower in your 40s than you do in your 50s. And then I go straight to Houston and kick ass. So it's like you're still going to wipe out. You're still going to suck. But in rodeo, the only thing that matters is getting up and keeping moving forward. But I was pretty damn sore for about 2 days. Not going to lie.
Well, and this week you got to finish it off, or this coming week.
Yeah, so I go to I compete on at Houston on Tuesday next week, and then Thursday Mercedes, Texas, down on the border, and then back to Houston. So we're going and blowing.
You're going and blowing.
Yeah.
Biggest victory. Now, when I say victory, it doesn't even have to be like a win.
Yeah.
Just something that you remember that was such a victory in your soul.
Well, I think having a great family is my best victory.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not throwing that, I mean, it's easy to say God and family. Like, I think almost every man would say those 2 things. But like just watching my kids grow, you know, I got great kids. They're so much smarter than I was. And they're, you know, well, their parents are together, you know, and there's no alcohol and there's no violence and there's no, not that my parents are bad people. They're awesome, but they, you know, they were raised by veterans that didn't have fathers, you know, I mean, they just didn't, they didn't go into World War II and go into Korea and then enlist in Vietnam and all this stuff. Like my parents didn't have a fair shake. So I didn't do any of that. I didn't go to war. So being able to like be home and be a father and then put good manners into my kids and like watch them develop into amazing human being. Like my 9-year-old, she says some of the most profound things. I'll be like, honey, I'm so sore, you know, cause I mean, I get sore. I'm sore. Like it hurts bad. And she's like, but Dad, she's like, you know, if you have Jesus in your heart, he can heal you and you can go on and you can go win, you know? So it's neat watching your children have that foundation to talk about the Lord, to lift you up, to give you wise counsel. And that's my biggest victory. You know, obviously my wife is my best friend, and my wife and my children are definitely my most amazing victories in life, I think, other than Jesus, family, and then all the other stuff after that.
The toughest,
toughest defeat.
Oh, when I was in 2005, I was living in the backseat of my truck, and I had no money. I mean, when I mean no money, I had no money, and I had borrowed everything that I could from banks and credit cards, and I lost all their money too. And I had one rodeo. I had enough money to enter one more rodeo. I was living in the backseat of my truck, and it was raining outside. It was cold and wet and rainy in Alberta in May. And if I didn't win the next day, I was like, my dream was over again. I'd already lost my life savings a couple years earlier, and then I was trying to do it again, and then I lost all that money again. And so I felt like in the beginning there were so many failures, and it all kind of piled into that one where I was like, that night I was like in the backseat of my truck, I was just crying to myself. I'm like, why am I such a failure? Like, why does this keep happening to me? How come I just can't figure this out?
Yeah.
And I just kept going. I called my mentors. I called my father, and they gave me some sound advice. And I went and I won third in the first round, fifth in the second round, second average of that rodeo. I won $4,500. And I placed at 19 out of 20 rodeos after that night. That night was the lowest point of my life to one of the hottest periods I ever had. And I went on to win a championship in Canada, first ever American to win a Canadian championship that year. And so just for anybody watching, like, if you're going through hell and it's hard and you don't know like how you can take one more moment, just focus on the next step. Because usually when it's the hardest and it's unbearable and you don't think you can take any more, on the other side of that, just not very far, is where all the glory starts to take place. And I've noticed in so many instances in my life, because like I said, I'm just a dumb Irish kid and I'm not super smart, but I learn really good through putting in a lot of reps and hard work. That's my style of learning.
Awesome.
And I, in the real estate business, I lost my tail, nearly went completely bankrupt and broke in that, until I figured it out about 10 years ago. And then it really compounded quickly. Recently, in the cattle business, I started a feedlot this year, and I have lost my tail in the cattle business. But now I'm starting to get things kind of figured out and how to make money and how to be profitable. In the beginning, I was like, go as big as we can, buy hundreds of cattle, all this stuff. And when sickness comes in, you can't stop it. You lose a lot of them. A lot of them die really fast, especially if they're not straight. And so I'm learning and I'm adapting. And so for me, I don't get as emotionally scared now when crap's really hitting the fan like I used to, because I'm one of those guys that jumps in and figures it out as he's going. I'm not one of those slow guys that's like, oh, we'll just do, and that's a good approach. Probably far better than me. I'm like, let's put $500,000 in and jump in with both feet and figure it out as we're going to work out, which scares my wife to death. But we always seem to figure it out, So understand that the glory is on the other side of the massive failures and losses. And really, without those losses, you don't learn, because you don't learn from success.
Yeah.
That's what everybody likes to talk about on these podcasts. You learn from the failures. You learn from getting your tail kicked. And to me, it's like a testament of if somebody's really a man or a cowboy or really hungry for success, is because they keep going on the other side of the failure. So
that's what they say. The darkest hour is just before dawn, right?
Yeah,
for sure. So we got a nice flow. I'm going to run inside and grab my charger. My laptop is dying.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I know Roy knows all this story, so while he's gone, I'm going to ask a little bit.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, Roy's fine. We'll get back to Roy. You have an incredible relationship with your wife. The two of you have built so much together. Can you talk to us about like the businesses that the two of you have and how that works?
Yeah. So, everybody wants to talk about like work-life balance, and I don't believe in that one bit.
Yeah.
I used to try to be like, I'm done at this time and the work's cut off, but I really want work, life, and family mix.
Yeah.
I just want to know where the priorities are. So my priorities are my wife and my kids, but my business and my roping and my horse, everything weaves into it. I want my children involved in our businesses. They know about mom's clothing designs. They know about how everything works behind the scenes at the rodeo. So we do a lot of things. I buy and sell and trade land. I'm not a realtor. Okay. But I buy like larger tracts of land, like 50, 60, 70, 100 acres and above, and I cut them up and then I sell them in smaller tracts. At I love land. I think it's a great investment, especially if you can do things to improve it. But we have the land thing. I built, custom horse properties and sold those. I've had online businesses for about 7 years. I did a lot of online businesses and a lot of online marketing. But I just got tired of being inside. I thought, I can't stand being inside anymore. I just want to get outside and get in the dirt, and I was doing that rodeoing, but it's just not the same. I love, like a day like today in Texas where it's just gorgeous. I love being outside and breathing the air and being in the grass and seeing the trees. So that's really what pushed me more to the land trading side. We have a silversmithing and a belt buckle company.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We've made belt buckles for Riley Green, Ella Langley. Ella Langley was just out here a couple of days ago, spending a day out here on the ranch with us. We made
you have friends, Tyson, that you can invite,
Yeah, next, yeah.
I'm single,
Well, I will tell you, Ella is just the nicest lady. I mean, she's such a sweet girl. My little girl, I didn't tell her, but that Ella's like, here, Praise, hold my phone. I'll forget it. And my Praise just had Ella's phone for like half a day. My little girl, it was one of the sweetest scenes. We were walking from one set to another set, like not set, but like one part of the ranch to where they were going to shoot on the other part of the ranch. And my 6-year-old just runs up to her beside her, and this little kid with brown bouncy hair and grabs Ella's hand, and they start holding hands, and they're walking and talking, and Rizen's looking up at Ella, and Ella's like, hey, tell me about, because they were talking about dance and, singing and all this stuff. And she was just so classy, so classy. And we shot a new music video with her. Shay and I make a cameo appearance, as well as Dale Brisby's in it. Wade Bowen, all the Texas country guys, JB Mooney's in it. But it'll be coming out here pretty soon. But my point is, we do a lot of different business. We got the belt buckle business. We got Shea Babies in about 3,000 stores nationwide. It's growing like crazy. But we try to do everything together. We try.
Yeah.
You have tons of things going on and lots of employees going all directions. Communication is key. Like last night, we went out on a date. We went and watched I Can Only Imagine 2, which is a great Christian movie. And then we went down and had coffee and sat down and talked. And we talked about our family. We talked about the kids, what our future is. We talk about our businesses. And so we try to communicate as much as possible. But we're trying to build something together. Yeah. And there's probably very few times I've ever been like insecure in my masculinity because I have such a strong woman. Right. You know what I mean? Like we complement each other. I'm like, man, you look beautiful. I can tell how much effort you've been putting in the gym. Like, you look amazing. And she compliments me. Like the other day, she came up to me and gave me a hug and said, I'm proud of you for not giving up on your dreams.
It means it all.
Like the best thing in the world, because I'm like, it would be so easy at my age to not try to get out there and beat 20-year-olds anymore. But for her to come up and give me a hug and say, I'm proud of you for chasing your dreams, is like, man, that means the world to me. So we try to work together, and we recognize, not to get too Christian on anybody, but I believe there's good and bad. And I believe the bad is represented by the enemy, the devil. And when we feel that enemy start to creep into our relationship, we're really good about, like, if I need to walk away, get a calm head, and then come back, we're very good about it, because I don't want to say anything or do anything under mass emotion that I will regret forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So God's given us the discernment, and we're not perfect. And there are times when it's so hard. We're normal human beings like everybody else, but to have the faith in Jesus to know that, hey, we can come back to this and we can say, you know what? Yeah, I was prideful there. I shouldn't have said that. I am so sorry. When I was a kid, that never happened. Nobody said sorry in my house as growing up. But I'm like, how can I put my pride like completely away? And she's very amazing with it too. Like, let's put our pride away. We're on the same team here. Rising tide lifts all boats. And how can we work together? And that's really how we do it. And we're busy. I mean, we work from 6 a.m. to midnight nearly every day. And so, but that's okay. I think God created us to be busy. We're supposed to be doing those things. If like some of the most miserable times of my life, when I feel like I'm not like testing myself and I'm not pushing my back up against the wall. And I feel like I have unchecked potential. Like God's like, hey, I gave you that talent for a reason. You're not supposed to be watching, YouTube. Get up and go do something, And so that's feel the most alive. And I believe that's how my wife feels as well.
Yeah. And good. It's good that y'all go on dates, right? So, and you do take trips with your family a lot. I said, to Florida or the islands or wherever. And I think that's good. It's good to work.
Yeah.
But going back to the Bible, I think it was Paul said, what good does it do a man to work his whole life and lay up treasures and not enjoy life? Right. So many people say, oh, I need money for my retirement. I want to work. They forget family, forget their spouse, and life passes them by and then they can't enjoy it. So
my favorite memories of my life prior to my own family was spending time with my mom's family. And I've seen both sides of it because as a kid, we had no money. We had no money. When I mean no money, like we go for weeks without electricity. We would not have food. I would have to go find food. We had no money. And my mom never took a government program. She just would not do it. And so we would go to like my mom's side of the family, and there was, she's one of the 8, and each one of those 8 had kids. So the family things would be huge with nothing, no money. Uncle would give us, sleeping bags. We'd sleep on the ground. And so no matter what financial situation you are, you might see, my wife or myself post videos of like at some island somewhere on a $25,000 vacation. That's only now, y'all. That's not the majority of my life. I'm in my 40s. Back then, it was like going fishing with my uncles or going sledding on a trash can lid because that's the only sled we had. And so it's about working hard, but having fun, like Roy said, and you don't need money to have fun. You just need a joyful heart and a joyful, family and joyful people. And I will say it's nice being able to travel and do some stuff, but we didn't have that forever. I mean, it's only in the last couple of years, and we live in a very nice home in a very nice place, but it's only the last couple of years we stopped buying our stuff from Craigslist. Like we used to buy all of our furniture. I mean, that the main couch in my house comes secondhand from a dude that paid 20 grand for it that I paid him 2. So I got the look of a 20 grand couch, but I paid 2 for it. And that's like literally been my entire life is like that. So you don't have to, spend a bunch of money. It's not about money. It's about joy. It's about finding a way and just creating memories and experiences that create time blocks in your mind. Because if you do the same thing like repetitive, your mind will erase it. You only will remember it if you create memories and experiences in your brain. So I'm all about creating those, like Roy said, and living with joy. And anybody can do that, whether you're rich or you don't have much, or you're working for, $18 an hour, or $15 an hour, or you're making 10 million. You can do it anywhere.
Joy in your heart. It's so true. I want to get into what the future holds and what's next step. But before that, producer Britt, we've got a mixed public, right? We've got probably half rodeo fans, maybe a third Western lifestyle, a third harness racing, and a third rodeo. I would love to take a little peek at like past performance of a rodeo that you've been into. Producer Britt, do you mind? Oh, it's the man in the pink shirt. I'm so glad. Yeah, could you talk us through this run? I think this was the American, is that correct?
Let's see which one this is. Is this the final round?
Yeah, 6.95, I think it was.
I think both goes are in this video. I think this is the first go. You'll know.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I felt called this day. This was a special day for me. This is the 6.95 run. I actually borrowed that horse from a friend of mine.
Okay.
With cash and prize, I won about 146,000 that day. And this is 2014. 146,000 went a long ways back then. Yeah. I didn't have hardly any money when I made that run. We had recently bought our farm, our first place in Weatherford, Texas, and we didn't hardly have any money. But walking into that arena that day, I felt the presence of God all over me, and I knew I was going to win it. That doesn't almost never happen, but it happened to me that day. And that run was my first major win as a professional rodeo athlete. And one of the memories that I'll always have from that run was my wife, after I made that run, ran up to me, jumped on me, and gave me a big, like, you know, like where they put their legs around and give you a hug and all kind of stuff. And I remember the joy that I got from her. And a little sports hack for anybody that's ever out there: if you've done something where you've made your family, your husband, your wife, your father, your mother so happy, and you've made like their day or the month, you need to hold that memory in your brain and play it over and over again before you compete at the next competition.
Right. I love that.
And that's one thing that I've always done was I use that memory. I use the memories of my children, just like after Cheyenne running up to me and just giving me a big, massive bear hug to propel me to put my mind in a state to win at the next one. And that was a huge run for me because I didn't have any money, and I actually won an American Ranger that day. I still have it, and it was just huge for me. And that can happen to anybody too. Just anybody watching this, like your life can be like that too. And it doesn't have to be in the rodeo arena. It could be like buying that first house, or it could be like like dreaming of owning a horse and finally getting that horse, you know, or you can relive those things, because remember, the things that you take for granted, you and me, other people are praying for right now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I could say, oh, it's just the American. It's what, how many years ago? 12 years ago, something like that. But how many people were praying for a big win like that? So it's very special for me. And I think a lot of people can learn from that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you realize it, but that video there, the late great Super Looper was commentating.
Was he really?
Super, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would love to hear that commentary.
Yeah. So
On from here to the end of the year, tell us a little bit about your schedule?
Oh yeah, just rodeoing. Like I'm going hard. Really. About June on, I'll be at a competition every day from June, July, August, September. Goal is national finals rodeo. I'm set up in a good position to do it. I typically don't go to, so it's right now in the standings, you'll see like a lot of guys at the top that you maybe won't see later in the season. What happens is the new season kicks off October 1st.
Yep.
So you have all these young guys or guys trying to get qualified for some of the earlier rodeos. So they'll burn up like 10 or 15 rodeos right at the front.
Yeah.
And so you'll see some of these names that you don't know up at the top. And then you'll have a guy like me that won't hardly go to anything. I'm going to go to big ones, and that's it. And I'm going to save my rodeos, because as rodeo athletes, you can only go to so many rodeos. You can only go to 80. So if I burn up 15 or 20 right at the beginning, it might look really good, but they're going to pass me later in the year. So what I do is I rodeo all the big ones early on: Denver, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, just the big ones. And then once we get through into like May, June, then I'm going to go hard, and I'll finish strong at the end. That's how I do it. But we're going hard. We want to make the national finals. I really have felt like, even years ago, I told my wife, I was like, I want to be a 40-year-old badass. You know, I want to be like that, because I remember, like, you know, meeting ex-military guys or something when I was younger, and they'd be out like running 5 or 10 miles, and they were just gritty and tough. And I was like, man, I want to be like that guy. And so obviously not in a physical standpoint, but in the rodeo arena, I want those young guys to look at me and say, man, that guy's another level. And I'm doing it not for my own pride, but I want to show my kids that at whatever age, whatever stage, you can still achieve greatness, and to never give up on something that you really want, no matter what it is, whether it's rodeo or it's, you know, building a church or a business or whatever it is. Never give up. Never, ever give up. So I'm rodeoing. I want to do it as being an example for people, a source of inspiration for my wife and my kids. And we'll do it this year, and then we'll see what next year looks like. I don't know. I'm just going to take it 1 year at a time, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, you mentioned coffee earlier. There's the good friends of mine, good friends of ours. They're actually Texans. They sponsor this show, Cowpuncher Coffee.
Oh, so cool. Yeah.
You really need to try. It's the best coffee I've ever had in my life.
I will. You got some at your house?
I do.
Yeah.
I'll come over and Roy and I live close together, so I'll come over and have a cup of coffee with you. I would love to try some cowpuncher coffee.
Oh, good.
For sure.
Hey, producer Britt, can you roll that line out for cowpuncher for us?
Yes.
Thank you to our great sponsor, Cowpuncher Coffee. Spur the day. It isn't just a cup. It's a kick in the saddle. Bold, smooth, and built for early mornings and long days. It fuels the kind of determination that gets work done. Rich, flavor without the bitterness. Strong enough for the arena, smooth enough for the porch. Find it at cowpunchercoffee.com.
Nice.
Texans, right?
Nice. Where is that Cowpuncher Coffee?
They're in East Texas.
East Texas. Nice.
Yeah, it's incredible. We had the opportunity to meet Jim and his wife. They own Cowpuncher. They're an absolute blast to be with. It's a great product, and we were really excited.
Yeah.
Tyson, we're gonna roll some quick fire questions at you.
Do it. Let's get
Off
it.
the cuff. All right. Favorite movie?
Cowboys, John Wayne.
What plays in the truck while you're driving down the road?
Oh man. It's a mix between 90s country music, between mid 80s to 99 alternative and rock. So it's from AC/DC to Nirvana. And then I will throw an occasional early 2000s hip hop beat in there. So I'm a little bit of everything. Yeah. But it's my area is like 2000 and before. Those are the kind of the music I really like to do.
What do you like it?
Real quick. Like I was thinking about right now, my favorite thing I like to listen to right now, this very, very moment, Cody Johnson. Okay. Love me some Cody. Lainey Wilson, Ella Langley, Riley Green. Like those four people, like if I could just have them on repeat in my truck, I'd be totally satisfied. Did
you hear Blame Texas? Cody Johnson, the one that just came out? Blame Texas. You got to listen to it. It just came out.
I'll check it out.
I haven't heard it yet. What's your ideal walk-up song when you're going into the box?
It's always been AC/DC, Back in Black.
Oh, I like it.
I almost changed to a completely black shirt this year from the beginning, like no more pink, just jet black. And then when they paid Back in Black, but my wife wouldn't let me do it. So I decided,
wasn't worth the argument. Early bird or night owl? Seems like you're both.
I'm actually both. I don't like to stay up late and I don't like to wake up early. So
who's your biggest shit?
As a child, I never slept. And now I will do both. I will definitely do both.
Who's your biggest cheerleader?
My wife and my family.
Toughest critic?
Oh, my wife, for sure. Yeah.
Pet peeve of yours?
Laziness. I cannot stand people who are lazy and or move slowly. I need to work on that because I know some people can move slow and get a lot done. But I'm very much a fast mover. And my dad would whip the tar out of me with a rope if he ever caught me walking. Like if I was doing something, I needed to do it at a jog. I was not allowed to do it at a walk. So slow moving or lazy people.
Okay, last one. What was your last impulse purchase?
Oh man.
You just did it the other day.
Yeah. Which one?
The truck.
Oh, well, I bought a new truck yesterday, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But that was an impulse, was it?
But I did. When I retired, I bought an electric F-150 because I was so sick of paying gas bills.
Yes.
For gas. And though I really liked the truck, it was not for me. And I lost a fortune on it when I sold it. That was the worst impulse buy I've ever had. I would not do that again. Because I thought I was almost bought a Tesla truck too, because I'm like, they're bulletproof. Like I could literally be getting shot at and it's no problem. So I haven't done it in a while. So yeah, that's the worst one.
That's a big one. Oh my gosh. Well, yes. I just have one last question, but I'm going to save mine to the side. Roy, do you have anything else for Tyson before we wrap up?
No, not to ask Tyson, but a lot of people viewing this, they know he's a world champion here. Many people don't know you're a 3-time world champion Canadian.
Yeah.
Canadian champion. right? And you're the first one to ever do that. That's not Canadian.
Yeah. I did that because when I moved from Missouri to Washington State, my mentor, we only were at his ranch was like maybe 85 to 90 miles from the border. And I could go to all of those rodeos so close. And I wouldn't have to travel like 20 hours here. All of them were within like 10 hours. Yeah. And so I started going up there. The cattle were good. They actually paid more monies than the American rodeos. So the American rodeos back then, now it's changed. The American rodeos pay more holes. Back then, Canadians paid 2 more monies everywhere than the Americans. So I had a mindset was like, let's just go make solid runs. And if I win lower, at least I still get a paycheck.
Yeah, you're walking away with something.
And that's how I was able to do so well. And I spent about 6 years. I went really hard up there. I won the Canadian Championship 3 times. My best friend, the best man in Start is from Scandia, Alberta. And so I got a lot of great friends from up in Canada and absolutely love it. I haven't been back in many years since pre-COVID, but I'm hoping I can get back up there this year.
All right. So I'm going to wrap this final up. One of the reasons that Roy and I kind of decided to get together and do this is we have always loved the stories of legendary horsemen, incredible rodeo folks, harness racing champions. And we just kept saying the bottom line is the same. These guys work like crazy. Their horsemanship is incredible. They never stop moving forward, and they're progressive mentally. They always want to make their sport and their game better. Yeah. Have you ever had the opportunity to sit behind a harness horse?
No.
No.
Never had the opportunity. No, ma'am. No.
Okay.
The crazy thing about me, I like up until probably like 5 years ago, I never did anything else. Like nothing. Anything. Like I couldn't swim until I was like 26, 27 years old. I didn't do anything other than rope and ride horses.
Yeah.
So I'm now getting to that stage where I'm doing other things and finding joy in other things. So I would love the opportunity one of these days to do that.
All right. So if we get you up here and getting a couple training sets, you're ready to go. We'll make sure you got a helmet on so your insurance doesn't get upset.
Well, I don't need to race. Heck, I could just jump on and go for a spin.
Yeah. Well, we'll go slow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll go slow training sets. We're between Roy and Timmy, you're safe.
Yeah. That's the best in the business. So perfect. I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, Tyson, your time means so much to us. We want to send you off to 2026 with a big good luck. Stay safe. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
You guys are so very welcome. I hope I can inspire somebody to go out and chase their dreams because it worked out for me, and I know it can work out for everybody else.
Yeah. Well, thanks again from the bottom of our hearts. Good luck, and you stay safe.
Thank y'all. Take care. God bless.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That was another episode of Under the Lights with Ash and Roy. Thank you to the sponsors and Cowpuncher Coffee for this episode. Whether you're headed home from the arena or just getting your day started, we're glad you spent some time with us. Around here, it's all about the stories behind the grind. We want you to be part of the story too. So comment, connect, and follow right here on this platform. And don't miss a hoofbeat. Wherever life's got you riding, stay tough, stay true, and we'll meet you right back here next time, Under the Lights with Ash and Roy.